Cloud9 and Team Liquid are facing off for the finals of the 2018 Summer Split. I wanted to give a bit of a preview and more specifically what each team should do in order to secure the victory. Now, for Team Liquid, I want to start out with them because they're the reigning champions. They're coming in here trying to defend their title from Spring Split. So it's looking like they are one of the most solid teams in terms of just being very stable, knowing how to play defensively, knowing how to play offensively, but more importantly, also knowing how to close games out super quickly once they get a lead. Now, Team Liquid's game plan and Cloud9's weaknesses should entail Blabber just being this incredibly aggressive player. He often just goes for these super ballsy plays. We all remember when he hopped over that inhibitor wall into like 3 of the enemy team, and the rest of Cloud9 had to back him up immediately. And he just keeps making these very aggressive plays and also aggressive counter jungling. So what you want to do is try and punish his invades. Whenever he goes for this stupid invade that he doesn't really have adequate vision for, that's when you want to punish him. So Team Liquid should be looking to ward defensively, get those wards in your own jungle, and also keep ward coverage in the river as well too for when he crosses over, because you know he's going to cross over. So just keep vision control surrounding the enemy jungler instead of looking for maybe the roams from an enemy mid laner or whatnot. So you need to keep an eye on Blabber specifically. And C9, they really rely on the early game as far as getting their leads and advantages, and they rely heavily on lane dominance and just getting CS leads within the lane, or even getting leads early with Blabber's incredible aggression. So you want to try and mitigate that somehow, whether that's playing a little bit more safe and going for more sure plays, or even matching that aggression and kind of coming out of the gate going super hard, because people won't really expect that from Team Liquid either. So if you can match their aggression with aggression itself, maybe that might be a really good thing to do. Now, as far as Jensen is concerned, he's going to be a fucking problem, right? So you need to try and get him off of supportive mids. Now, this entails his famous Orianna. His Orianna is very good throughout his entire career. And Zillion, obviously, that's going to be a problem with how Cloud9 just structures their team comps around the jungler himself going super hard and allowing him to go super hard. So you might look to throw a ban towards that. And then, of course, Jensen has played Lulu as well too. Not that much this split, but he has pulled it out, I believe, 2 times, 3 times. So that's something that he can always fall back on if you aren't willing to take the Orianna. Which comes to the last part, which is get Pobelter on a safe pick or save the counter pick for him, because you need to stop this guy from inting. He might int into Jensen himself in combination with the Blabber jungle synergy, or he might even int into the Golden Glue / Svenskeren combination. So really, Pobelter, we all saw how hard he got wrecked by Svenskeren and Golden Glue. So you need to respect that super heavily. Get him on something safe. You know, everyone's saying like, yeah, just put him on fucking Malzahar duty. Well, what if Malzahar's banned? So you need to look to stabilize the mid lane before you can even worry about any of the other lanes. And then once again, don't worry about Impact. Impact, like I said before in my previous match preview in the semifinals, you don't need to worry about Impact at all. He's been proven that he's a proficient tank player. He's proven that he's very good on GP, which is once again going to be contested as well too. I think Impact looks better on GP than say Licorice does, so that probably goes into your favor for when you're on blue side so that you can first pick it and you don't need to really ban it against Licorice. So just don't be too concerned about impact because he can always fall back on the tanks. We've already seen Maokai within other regions, so he can always fall back onto that. Or even the Gnar pick obviously is contestable as well too. And then lastly, Xmithie must be able to change it up when facing against Cloud9 because that's going to be incredibly important when suddenly the jungler is switched out and it goes from this super aggressive jungler to now this less aggressive jungler who's going to play more intelligently and a little bit more slowly and methodically. So you want to separate those two and be able to change up your playstyle and switch up your game plan accordingly when you're Xmithie, going for different gank paths and just seeing how you want to function when going into the next game against the enemy jungler. And this is also going to be critical for the coaching staff. The coaching staff need to keep an eye on how both Blabber and Svenskeren are playing. And if they swap in between games or whatnot, you need to be able to tell Xmithie, okay, this is what they did the last game with this combination, so watch out for this. This is what his jungle pathing was, and in tune with the champions as well too. He's going to have to change it up based on his champion, but it's still going to be good information coming into this matchup. So that's really about it for Team Liquid and their game plan. Just kind of stop the aggression of Blabber, counter the mid matchup and put Pobelter on something safe while also contesting Jensen's picks. And don't worry about impact, and obviously give Xmithie the information to succeed. Now, for Cloud9's game plan and for Team Liquid's weaknesses, get a good lane matchup. This is more so important for Blabber's circumstances more than anything. So when Jensen's in the game, you should try and look to get a good lane matchup, because this is going to allow Blabber to play his aggressive style and to invade, because you're going to have mid lane priority. Now, with that, if you can get a supportive mid, yeah, that's cool. And also get a good early lane aggression such as Orianna to control mid lane priority, then yeah, that's the perfect scenario. But if you can't, then going into an assassin matchup, well, Jensen's going to win that. So it doesn't really matter which way you go with it. Just try and get a good mid lane matchup, maybe even save counter pick for that. And just let the man go balls to the wall and let fucking Inclination carry the fucking game. Now, use your sub advantage to change things up. This is kind of a no-brainer, right? You gotta use your subs intelligently. When people are feeling out of the game, you need to forcibly take them out of the game. And I don't doubt that Reaper is very intimate with his players, so he'll be able to tell whenever they aren't on fire, right? Or maybe when they are on fire. So just intelligent sub changes to change the flow of the game and keep Team Liquid on their toes. That's very important to do. And if you don't get a good mid lane matchup, which is probably the most important thing for this series, then allow Licorice to get a good matchup. This is really important because I think Licorice has proven himself time and again that he's able to dominate the top lane whenever he does get a good top matchup. And sometimes even unfavorable matchup. We saw how well he was actually able to play into TSM themselves. So Licorice, you might want to play through him if you can't play through the mid lane, which then means you can't probably play through the jungle either. So get him a good top lane matchup. He's probably not going to smash impact, but it's worth a shot trying to do that anyways. And even still, Licorice performs very well in team fight, so you could even get him on the Ornn pick. So just look to enable Licorice within this match if you can't enable Jensen, which, in Leu enables Blabber. And then, of course, number one rule in this entire series, if you're Cloud9, is it's going to be stop double lift at all costs, no matter what. Stop double lift, put priority on that lane specifically, and just get a good bot lane matchup as well too. Now you can say, okay, well, if we don't get a good mid lane matchup, then maybe we should try and get a early game matchup for bot lane so that they can get a bot lane lead against double lift and kind of put a fucking dam in his waterway, right? So I think that's also another thing to consider if you're going into this matchup as Cloud9, to enable your bot lane, even though Sneaky doesn't necessarily play the most aggressive out of any of the AD carries, but you don't want him to get smashed either in the bot lane, especially because Team Liquid's primary win condition, basically their only win condition, is double lift. So if you can stop them from playing through double lift, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe instead you're able to bring a surprise out as Cloud9 and have Blabber or have Svenskeren play towards the bot lane. I think what would be best is if Blabber is within the game, then you play towards mid lane and you play towards mid lane picks and jungle picks, right? And you play very aggressively through the mid lane. Now, if you have Svenskeren and Golden Glue, then you play through the bot lane. You let Golden Glue do his thing, but you control bot side, and you get a good early pick for Sneaky and Zeyzal. And then you have Svenskeren just kind of camp that lane. Let Licorice do his thing. Don't worry about Licorice's picks necessarily when Svenskeren and Golden Glue are in there. But you need to kind of enable your bot lane so that you can try and smash him. And I don't necessarily think trying to go through the mid lane again, if you're Golden Glue and Svenskeren, is going to necessarily work. I've never really seen Pull Belter feed that fucking hard, so I don't think it's going to happen again. I think that was just kind of a one-off game, not really expecting the tempo that duo could potentially bring, but now that they kind of know, and if Lee Sin is not in the game, then I don't think that they can really do that. So play through your bot lane and enable your mid laner Jensen if he's in the game, and that's how you win this series. But ultimately, I think this series is gonna go probably a 3-2 to Team Liquid. I think they're a far more stable team. They have more veterans, and this is a higher stakes game. I think the nerves of this final stage is definitely going to get to Golden Glue. I don't think he's conquered his anxiety that much. But it is worth noting that he did perform in a knockout semifinals match against TSM, coming down, a couple games, or from elimination game 2-1 against TSM to steamroll them. So that's worth noting, but I don't think it compares to the grandeur of the Oracle Stadium and all the fans shouting and everyone watching you, even people from Europe watching you. So I think that's going to get to him. I don't think that Team Liquid are really going to falter. So I think it's going to be 3-2. Cloud9 probably going to come out with some early aggression early on, but in the entire series, but I don't think it's actually going to work against just the sheer veterancy of Team Liquid.